Has your metabolism all but left the coop? Menopause metabolism is such a perplexing question. And we have these questions about what about my DNA, my genetics? What can I do? Have I ruined it? Have years of dieting destroyed it? This is Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top questions and struggles. And that was Truman, my old English sheepdog. Let me just tell you that during COVID-19, while we're all at home, I am hoping you give me a little bit of grace and realize we will all be photobombed by our families, by our dogs, cats, and whatever else you may have hanging around. But you may hear some deep breathing during this episode. That is not me. Truman's 12 and a half, and we'll just give him his space. So you are listening to Flipping 50 and to heavy breathing and panting. It's a bonus where I share what to eat, how to move, and how to change your mindset so that you can have the energy and the vitality that you want, need, and deserve in this second and better half. And even now, during COVID-19, when I'm recording this live, but no matter when you're listening, hopefully at some point in time you'll be listening and this will be a distant memory, but menopause metabolism is still going to be a hot topic, pun intended. So it's all going to be relevant. The questions that I'm answering in this episode about metabolism, specifically menopause metabolism, pour in to flipping50.com. The questions and the answers today come from a recent 6-session Menopause Metabolism Makeover that was part of some juicy bonuses for new course members this spring, and it will be available inside our Flipping 50 virtual membership, currently called Café, for access by them at any time. Over 135 women took the live course, and the questions kept us on those live calls for over 90 minutes for what I intended to be less than an hour session each time. This is clearly a topic that you want to know more about, and so I am sharing this with you, with all of you. But first, I want to share this. Since during this at-home sheltering with opens and closes and masks or no masks, your challenges and temptations may have been greater. So far, may still be greater for quite some time. But this comment came from one of my Flipping 50 members. They're in the post-measurement time of a 12-week program before they roll right into another 12-week program. We don't sit back, by the way, in the membership area. But here's what she said. I'm just so excited. I have to shout. I am totally blown out of the water. I had a tough fall and early winter, so I was dedicated to Stronger. That's the name of the 12-week strength training program. And she describes some limited hip modification, HIIT, twice a week, and walks. Plus, I was following the Flipping 50 food flip eating habits. I knew my shorts were looser, but I resolved not to measure till I finished Stronger. Well, the results are in. And if the tape measure doesn't lie, more on that in a minute, I'm down 12 inches overall and down 1.5% body fat. So pumped to keep up this dedication and start Stronger 4. Who's going to be my workout buddy? So a couple things I want to comment about that. Number one, why is it we think that the tape measure might be wrong if we get good results, but we believe it and we believe the scale when they tell us things are really bad? I'm just going to ask you that rhetorical question. Is that your default too? I think some of us would have to put our hand up and say yes. But next, what I want to point out here is this is the kind of thing, the kind of very real thing that happens inside of our membership and inside of many of our programs. The women reach out when it's working and when it's not, and they share, listen, things are not going right. I did this program and right now I'm actually gaining weight, because you and I know that can happen. And that doesn't mean that the program failed you. Inside, I knew that it's all based on science, based on you, but it may mean there's been hormone shifts that would suggest we need to change that program, that even among us there's some diversity. So sharing those things tells us right away. It leaves the breadcrumbs, the clues that tell me how to recommend to you, here's what happens. We do some testing potentially, but we also look at, what are you eating? How are you sleeping? Tell me about the time you're exercising and how that feels. Tell me about your energy level all day. We can have those quick conversations right there in your private Facebook group and do some mini coaching and get you on the right track really fast. The last thing I want to point out about this comment is, did you catch how it finished? So a little bit of success goes a long way toward helping you dig your heels in, dedicated to doing the next one. So motivation doesn't come somewhere pulling it out of the sky. Commitment got her this far. Now she's motivated all by herself, because feeling good, girlfriend, feels good. But what she did that I really love is turned around and said, look, who's in this? Who's my workout buddy? Paying it forward with other people in the group. I'm going to help you stay dedicated and do it too. That's what I love about our membership. There is nothing like a woman in midlife fiercely fighting for you as a friend. And one of the statements that I wrote in You Still Got It, Girl, when I wrote that book back in 2015 was, if you're crazy making, I'm not going to get in there with you, but I am going to tell you that you can do it. And that's the kind of support we've got inside the Flipping 50 membership. So if you're looking for some real talk, some real support and some real truths, you'll find it. The Flipping 50 virtual membership is open right now for enrollment. It's open just twice a year through July 15th. That's your last day to get in. And it's at a special make it easy for you COVID rate. I'm meeting you part way. I'm funding you $80 of your membership right now. Plus, there's a bonus. Enrollees right now get the half-day virtual retreat. We're chiming that in with She Treat, if you will, with me later this month. Actually, it'll be the 1st of August on Saturday. And if you're looking for menopause metabolism support, exercise options for safe at home, and you want access to the first and the only membership to programs and coaching designed for women in menopause based on research on you, then you are home. You're not a man, you're not a 20-something woman. Your hormones, your metabolism, your body composition, they all mean that you need a specific exercise program, a blueprint right now to adjust to the changing hormones you have. It's here. It's all in here. And you should be here. Doors close July 15th. I'll link to that in the show notes. And if you're joining me while I'm doing this right now, literally I'm behind. So typically we release these and they're already loaded up, ready to go. But during COVID-19, I truly have been doing them sometimes week to week, because our climate changes. And I don't mean the 114 degrees here in Scottsdale. What I mean is week to week, the news changes. And we're all affected so very differently that sometimes I literally wait and it's Monday night before I feel like, here's what's happened in the world. Here's what questions I'm getting. Here's the content I need to give you today to help you the most in this minute. And that to some people may feel like that's not very professional, or I'm not able to put the music bumper on the end because I need a little help with the team. And it's unfair to them to say, can you give me that back in 30 minutes? Because the answer would be no. So I don't ask. But it's really important to me that you get what you need right now. So if you happen to be listening live today, or you're listening still on Wednesday, that Wednesday, July 8th, then it's today. The Flipping 50 Master Class is open to the public. I'm going to talk something indirectly related to today's episode, and that is about fascia. And it's what it's got to do with your fitness or your fatness and how it can help or hurt. So if you've heard of foam rolling, myofascial self-release, you know a little bit about it. But what I want to give you are the tools to who should do it, who shouldn't do it, when should you do it, why do you want to do it, what's your motivation, and then how. And we'll actually do a live session. This is a very unique one time, I think, in 4.5 years that I have ever shared the Flipping 50 virtual memberships deep dive monthly masterclass with the public. So I do a monthly masterclass every month. However, it's unique and different from what I give the Café. The Flipping 50 membership is titled the Café, by the way. Right now, we're in the midst of changing that. But what I want you to have is an experience that progresses inside the Café. So I'm listening, I've got my ear to all the comments and looking at what people need right now to get ahead, feel better, come into better body alignment and balance. Because if you can't do that, then some of the questions I'm going to respond to today about your metabolism don't matter. If you can't exercise because you don't feel good, some exercise that you need hurts, that's a problem. And if you've got some of those little nagging, pesky things going on, like cellulite showing up that you never had before, I can help you a little bit with that today or in the master class tomorrow. So you're going to get a unique sneak peek inside of what it feels like to go a little bit deeper than those master classes I give to the public. You're getting the Flipping 50 virtual memberships master class live. So you'll experience it for yourself. I'll put the link to that in the show notes. If you're listening later, that one is no longer available unless you do become a virtual member. And then all of the master classes we've done are archived in the library. So if you need to work on something specific and you need to know and you're looking for a topic, you, my friend, will find it. Let's dive in. All right, so first question comes from Deborah. How confusing is that? This is Deborah, that is Deborah. What would I say? And really, she's asking, what would you say is the single biggest metabolism booster? So here you go. The safest way to boost your metabolism without increasing your aging, right, is exercise. But it's not just a boom, just exercise. Go exercise, because you and I, in the era we grew up in, getting that more exercise, less food, more is better. You have to just keep moving, burn more calories, burn more fat. It doesn't work like that. It's exercise, but it's the right kind of exercise at the right time, specifically for you, where hormones are impacted by exercise. And hormones control whether you store fat or burn fat. It's the right kind of exercise. That is the single biggest metabolism booster that you and I control. Are there other things? There absolutely are, and they're going to unravel in the rest of these questions. But that was an easy one. Now let's go on to the not so easy one. Second question is from Leslie. What are the strategies for keeping metabolism even when under stress? And she says, I hit a 5-month plateau compounded by COVID and serious aging parent stress. Oh my gosh, we can all relate, right? So what are the strategies for keeping your metabolism up even when you're under stress, which is a very wise question. So Leslie already knows if your stress levels are high, if you've got a lot of cortisol, cortisol will tend to make you store fat as opposed to burn fat, specifically store fat in the belly. But it will, by result, as you increase your fat, your percentage of lean muscle decreases, and muscle is the metabolically active tissue that you want to increase. So that's problematic. So wise question from Leslie. The answers are water, adequate water and hydration, sleep, prioritize it. And I know many of you will be listening and you'll say, well, I wish I could. You can. And you have to first believe that and then do the things that work. And there are about 20 of them. But you've got to try them specifically in sequence in a way that makes sense. Test each one of them and stick with it before you move on to another. Deep breathing. Take one with me. Take a deep breath and then exhale all the way out. Can you feel your shoulders come down away from your ears? Maybe they were like glued there for a little while, but you didn't even know it because we're living in that all the time. We don't even sense it, but it's like, oh my gosh, if you were underwater swimming or somebody was holding you underwater, you remember that as a kid? And you really needed to gulp that air and couldn't wait to take a beautiful, fresh breath. That your body, I think we're living in that constantly. But that deep breath turns on your parasympathetic nervous system, relaxes you, calms you, gives you enzymes in your gut so you can digest food better, and just makes life better hormonally for you. So keep doing those things. Other things that help are journaling, gratitude. Write down what you're grateful for. Think about it if that's what you'd rather do. While you're walking, while you're in the shower, come up with 10 things every day. If that's too many, come up with 5 or 3 different things in the morning and at night. But that can help. Change up, but keep up, okay? Your exercise. So you're hitting a plateau. That will say, don't keep doing the same thing over and over. Let's just switch it up. So although there's a great blueprint and it's like, here's what I need to be doing right now, you may need to, all right, let's switch that a little bit. So my mantra for women right now is almost always twice a week strength training to fatigue with adequate rest between is best. However, every once in a while, I will have a woman, I will say, okay, let's rotate. Let's do Monday and Friday. We're going to do strength training on those days. And we're going to do another functional workout on Friday. So it's a little bit lighter weight. It's more unilateral, meaning one-legged, one-armed kind of exercise, maybe a little bit more body weight. And yet, that way you're stimulating your metabolism with the muscle, but still not overdoing it. So that might be a short-term solution. Changing the time that you eat. So maybe you throw in a little bit of intermittent fasting. Maybe you cut out some carbs for a very short time and eat a little bit more keto-like, following our friend Dr. Anna Kabeka's Keto Green 16. So you can't just go keto if you're a woman in midlife. You got to keep your body alkaline, but some of those little changes will help you. But you can also help your gut health with collagen. There is some in my Flipping 50 Paleo Power protein, or sip on bone broth, or create soups with it in it. Add lemon or apple cider vinegar to your water. All of those things improve your gut health. And when you're stressed, your gut health gets thrown off. And again, deep breathing, that'll help. Add the lemon, add the apple cider vinegar first thing in the morning so you can start those enzymes and juices going. That'll help. All of those little things will help even when you're under stress. So great question. Next question is, what factors other than exercise help to rev up metabolism, and are those factors different for 50 and 60 plus women? So yeah, here we go. The factors working against you are definitely different after 50 and 60 because your hormones have changed so dramatically. So as your estrogen levels drop, along with other sex hormones, but estrogen is a big factor. So that will make it harder for you to hold on to lean muscle. What does that mean? It means if you're not exercising with intensity and in short, not long sessions, because of the way you once learned decades ago, right? Those long sessions you think are the way to go, they are not. So stop guilting yourself if you're not getting them, and then stop doing them if you are doing them. You can get better results doing shorter and more frequent high intensity exercise. So either that's from reaching fatigue when you're strength training, doing those full body routines. You want to ditch doing lower body one day, your arms one day, your upper body another day. It really doesn't work optimally for women who are busy, potentially already tired, don't have hours to spend in the gym, because when you separate into body parts, you need to spend at least an hour doing 4 or 5 or 6 sets for those small muscle groups to really benefit your metabolism. Get that whole body. Get those moves that really matter, like squats and lunges and chest press and bent over rows and bent arm pullovers, and get them in a sequence that matters, because the order of what you do things in is very important. If you're trying to bump your metabolism, see shape in your arms, the way to do it is not with arm exercises. Surprised? Yeah, because you're not changing your metabolism enough to see that pretty muscle underneath. So you'll actually see those muscles better if you do less arm exercise, more major muscle group exercise. So the arms will be moving, but they're not the primary movers, and that's the best way. So the factors working against you definitely change. If you're not exercising, you've got to get that intensity in short sessions, not long ones, and time it right. The time of day you exercise, hard should be morning. Prioritize your sleep, eat adequate protein, and you also have to time that right. So those things will all support revving up your metabolism. Protein, if you're getting too little of it, will not help. But you also need to ditch one thing. First, 2 things. Ditch dieting. So stop counting those calories and points. Start making your calories and points count. Get quality food in. Pay attention to, are you hungry? Are you full? Or are you bored? Bored is not a feeling you need to feed. And being hungry is okay. And in fact, if you're never hungry before a meal, we need to take that as a clue, because a healthy woman with a good metabolism should be getting hungry. So the next place I would look, if you're not hungry, is, are you constipated? So we got to get things moving. So there are a lot of factors that could come into play. Next question is, how do I know what my metabolism rate is? Is it high, low, or where should it be? Can metabolism be improved without taking a supplement? So I got 2 questions here, right? So I'm going to dive in. It's a little bit longer answer. The short answer is yes and no, both, okay? Depending on how you use the word supplement. So I'm answering that last part. Can my metabolism be improved without taking a supplement? So let's talk about that. Taking a metabolism supplement like those dangerous ones in diet pills of decades ago is not the way to go. You don't want any, ephedra, things that are going to make your heart race. However, your body needs adequate micronutrients and vitamins to work, including your metabolism. So if you're tired all the time, you haven't been taking a high quality multivitamin, at the very least, I would test your micronutrients. I can point you to a lab test you can do and order on your own. You can go through your physician. I would try functional physician. That may not be covered by your insurance, but you can start there if you have great insurance. Go through your physician and say, look, I'm doing everything I think right, and I don't feel good, and my nails are brittle, my hair is falling out, my skin is dry, I'm gaining weight, and I can't lose it even no matter what I do. I want to do a micronutrient test, and you want to look at things like vitamin D, B12, iron, your magnesium, your omega-3s. Those are just a few that can be related to fatigue and to metabolism for women in midlife. Few of us who want to thrive and be full of energy are going to do so, get there, from food alone. Number one, we don't eat enough. Or if we do, we're eating too much, some of you, right? We're eating the wrong foods. You're not overeating kale and salmon, I would bet, right? But when somebody opens the chips, it's hard to say no. So it's hard also to have 5 and then stop. So you've got to really take a good look at, are you eating everything you need? And none of us can can eat even the healthiest of diet, all of the micronutrients that we need in a day. So have that test done. It's easy to be compliant when you see it in black and white, and then you won't be shooting blanks and just starting to supplement, needlessly. You'll be doing it with a target, and you can say, okay, I'm going to do this, commit to it, and I'm going to test again in 4 weeks or 6 weeks. And you can also have a test done to determine your basal, what is your resting metabolic rate. So that is, we hook you up to, you're breathing in, breathing out through a controlled chamber. You lie down, you're there for probably 15 minutes. Boy, it's been a long time since I've done this one in the lab. And that's the most accurate way to find out what is your basal metabolism. And then from there, you can do a test, a Vo2 test, to determine how many calories you burn during exercise and at increasing levels of exercise. But I will tell you, that is not a comfortable test. You have your nose and mouth hooked up to a hose that's going back into a computer and measuring. First of all, are you using carbohydrate? Are you using fat for fuel? How many calories are you burning at certain watts of exercise? It all starts to get complicated. Here's the thing. It's truly uncomfortable. It unfortunately will bring you back also to calories in and forgetting that your hormones rule your metabolism. So here's how you know that your metabolism, or your metabolic rate is the way we refer to it, is optimal. You're at your optimal weight. You have lots of energy, you have a good appetite, no cravings, you sleep well, you wake refreshed, and you have good muscle tone. Your hormones change, right? Estrogen drops at midlife and cortisol goes up during menopause. That makes it harder to hold on to lean muscle and easier to add fat. Insulin response can change, another hormone. Ghrelin and leptin can both work against you. That's your hunger hormone, your satiety hormone. If those two are not working, and one is telling you, yes, you're hungry, and the other one is never telling you you're full, we're in trouble. Bad combination. Testosterone and growth hormone production go down with age, and they'll be reduced further if you're not sleeping. So while there are things you can see that do stack the deck against you, that's only if you choose to lie down, drink your wine, eat your sugar, not exercise correctly, or you over or under exercise, count calories, and think that if you eat fewer and burn more, that will work. That is not your game plan for success. So once you're in menopause, that's not even a short-term win. It used to be, right? You used to be able to do that in a quick fix, dropped a few pounds and back. Once you're in menopause, that's not even a short-term win. You're much more likely to feel worse faster doing those types of things. You want the flipping 50 lifestyle, especially now. Short, more frequent exercise sessions. 2 of them are strength training. 2 of them are high intensity intervals. And then fill in with short to moderate movement. Be an active person who gets hungry for whole food and has very few cravings because she isn't depriving herself and trying to exercise more constantly. So focus on what really works, what really worked long term. Don't focus on trying to gamify it and get a quick fix and a quick win, because that eventually will catch up with you. And here we are. We're at eventually. So if you've roller coaster dieted, you've roller coaster binge exercising, overdoing it constantly, still believe more is more is better, then look at the results you're getting and really challenge. Your default thinking may be way off. And the next question is fatigue the best immediate signal that your metabolism is low? This is a challenging one. So metabolism can be hinted at a slow metabolism, maybe because of fatigue, or you may experience that, but fatigue can happen for so many other reasons. So it's not just fatigue, but really an always tired feeling may be a sign of a slower metabolism. But because it's due to so many things, like not prioritizing your sleep, the wrong dietary choices, even if you think I'm eating healthy, but if your body isn't digesting those foods and absorbing the micronutrients, they're still not the right foods for you. Those food sensitivities and food intolerances that you have that you've never even considered before actually may be making you fatigued. And there's nothing that necessarily immediately has to happen. So you may be eating dairy or gluten or wheat, and you don't react badly immediately, but it's that you're eating it so constantly that the way you feel is the way you feel. It feels normal to you. Till you remove those foods, put them back in, and challenge yourself or test yourself reintroducing, you don't really know the result. And I'll tell you what, somebody can tell you these foods are things you probably shouldn't eat, and that's not very convincing. But when you do a personal assessment on yourself, it's actually kind of fun. You're creating your own lab. It's much more easy to be compliant doing the thing and then reintroducing them to figure out, is that what's been getting in my way? Is that potentially what's getting in the way of me getting more lean definition? It could very well be. But other signs your metabolism is slow could be dry skin, brittle nails, hair loss, frequent headaches. You're cold all the time. You have low libido, right? No interest in intimacy. You're depressed, low pulse rate. So I know a lot of you think, and there is some truth too, the more fit you become, the lower your heart rate will be. But actually a low heart rate can be just a sign of a very slow metabolism. Now, that's not to say that you want a higher heart rate, but there is a difference between a slow heart rate based on, I'm fitter than I was, so it's dropped 4 or 5 beats, and an all the time slow heart rate. And one is an evidence of slower metabolism. One is evidence of elevated fitness level. So if you're constipated, or slow transit time, so it takes you a long time to eat a food and see it come through. And there's a great test by the Queen of Thrones, my friend Marisol, about eating beets, because we can see them come through the other end. I know that sounds super weird, but say at lunch today you have an ample serving of beets, and then you're basically watching, is it 12 hours, 24, 36, how long before that comes through? And you'll know a little bit more about your average transit time. She and I did a podcast, and you can search for that. I'll try and remember to put that in the show notes so you can look it up. But that's one way of also kind of monitor for yourself. Get up in the morning, monitor your resting heart rate. What level is it? That'll tell you, look at that, consider, do you have any of the other signs? You don't have to have them all, but some of them are good ones to follow. Next question is it a myth? Well, I'm going to back up. Sorry. The biggest statement I forgot is, the biggest way, like slap you on the side of the head to know if your metabolism is slow is you're gaining weight, and that weight is clearly not muscle, it's fat, and you can't lose it doing the right thing. That's the best one. It's not as immediate, because usually then it takes a little while for that slow metabolism to catch up with you and show you that you're gaining weight. But the other factors, if you can point to any of those, will potentially, as they stack up, give you a better indication. Okay, next question. Is it a myth that someone can have a fast or a slow metabolism? How much is metabolism tied to our DNA or our genetics? So I want to answer the first part of this question. So is it a myth? What you want, I want, we want a healthy metabolism. We don't want one that's too fast or too slow. because, usually too fast or too slow are probably for you and I very related to thyroid. And our thyroid isn't quite working. So we also need to take a look at getting our liver in good shape. So our liver does a lot of work relative to our metabolism. So in my friend Dr. Alan Christensen's book about the metabolism reset, he goes through and it's about a liver reset. We have something fairly similar in the food flip at Flipping 50. But if you're looking for a good book and a good resource by a very trusted colleague, and that will kind of lead you to, okay, what's the connection here between what I'm eating, when I'm eating, how I'm eating, and what I'm putting into my body and making my liver do, and will the rest of me function if that's not functioning? So that could be very helpful to you. But here's what I really want to emphasize. You're in control. Your parents are not to blame. So this is not DNA and genetics. Your epigenetics, that is your environment, your habits. By environment, I mean, what environment are you creating? Are there chips and cereals and sugary things in the refrigerator, the freezer, in the pantry? Get them out of there, because that is a part of your epigenetics. Are you programmed to snack constantly? Right now, that's your own doing, and you can change that. Your habits, your daily habits, what you do, who you surround yourself with, have much more to do with the expression of your genetics than do your actual genetics. Your mindset's also a big factor. If you're unfamiliar with the power of placebo, get acquainted. Because if you are telling yourself, saying, out loud or inside of your own head that your metabolism is slow, you've ruined it by dieting for years, your body is listening. Every cell in your body listens to every thought you have. How strange is that? But you can change the expression of DNA. So that is, you can help certain genes express and other genes be suppressed by your thoughts and your habits to improve your metabolism, even during menopause. Next question is, how do I know if my years of dieting has totally ruined my metabolism, and can I get it back? Yes, it probably did some damage. Yes, you can get it back, as long as you're willing to let go of trying to exercise more and eat less. Let's face it, that was our socialization. I taught it, right? I learned it, so did you. And it's time to unlearn and rethink and teach differently, which is exactly what I'm doing. So this in part is redeeming myself for years of, that was the best science we had. It's what I taught too. And my voice is going to be a lot more effective and a lot faster in getting the word out than trying to get that into a textbook or a certification book or some published book that takes years to write, years more to publish, and we don't have that kind of time. So if you're doing the wrong habits right now, you don't want 4 or 5 years stalling you at this point while you're losing muscle, gaining fat. That's not a good predictor of your health in the future. So you've got to lose that idea that you want to exercise more and eat less, because that is one foot on the gas and one foot on the accelerator at the same time. You've got them both floored. It's probably nothing worse for your metabolism than exercising more and harder and not eating enough to fuel that body. Your metabolism then is confused. Your body is confused, and what it will do is slow your metabolism. Next question this is from one of our Flipping 50 virtual members. What is the formula for continuing on this journey? Since, we're all doing some kind of strength training program designed for women in menopause in the members area, what's the formula for optimizing metabolism as we continue? So here it is. Great question. You want to keep strength training once you start religiously. Strength training should never be interrupted, twice a week. Right now, you cannot afford to miss it. You don't go on a COVID vacation and not do it simply because the gym closes. And I know finding dumbbells has been anything but easy. Amazon even doesn't have them, and where do we all turn when we need something? Exactly. They've canceled orders. However, water bottles, big ones, filled with rocks, then sand, then water, better than nothing. And picking up, you know, weights wherever you can. Garage sales right now, gyms may be closing. Gyms may be out of business. Sadly, that may be your win. So look around and ask, can you buy their dumbbells? Find out. But never interrupt. Continue to overload your muscles with adequate intensity. And that may mean you outgrow the weights. You have to get bigger ones. At some point, you won't want to do that because it will become unsafe. But then you can slow things down. You can add a component of power. You can change the sequence of exercise. These are all strategies and techniques that I use inside the cafe with the workouts. Workouts that are based on protocols, based on science, using you as subjects. Because if there's been some kind of a study done on mice or rats, I don't think we can take that and say, oh, that'll work for you. I also don't think if a 25-year-old male, which is a common subject for studies, if it works for them in the peak of their muscle mass, for you and me in the peak of fat storage during menopause, it's not necessarily going to work. We can assume that it will. And you're also not a young female. And, you know, men are studied more than women because they don't have as many hormones and fluctuations monthly or during menopause, you know, when we're like hormonally void. You know, we also have so many changes. There are more studies coming out because there are more people, 46 million women in menopause, 6,000 more every day. We're demanding it. We control the power by the way we vote with our health and our dollars, right? So if we're doing things, people are listening. But you've got to make sure that you're getting adequate intensity for a woman in menopause. You may have to go through different injuries from falls or repetitive stressors, maybe from your work, but you can always do something. So you have shoulder surgery. Can you do lower body work? Yes. Can you keep walking? Can you do some body weight squats and lunges while you're recovering? Absolutely. Never stop. Getting breathless for short periods of time regularly, that's a big part of this formula as well. 2 or 3 short interval training sessions a week is a must. So far, you've got 2 strength trainings. You've got, let's say 2, could be 3 short interval training sessions a week. Those are a part of your formula. So with exercise, it's do it hard, make it count, don't overdo it. With food, it's eat whole foods, don't overdo it, don't underdo it. With sleep, it's do it, make sure you prioritize it. It's hydrate, every cell in your body needs water. And it's also potentially supplement if you need it to reach micronutrient sufficiency. Your body will not operate without all the parts. It won't operate any better than your car would if you took out parts. So if it's hard for you to take supplements, and I get it, take a micronutrient test, see it, find out where you are, and by all means, make sure that you know this. When you get those results back, don't look at how you score compared to normal people, because that is a whole lot of people that don't feel very good. You want the optimal levels, and if you don't know what they are, you need to be talking to a health coach who does, who will help you say, here's the things that will help that level come up. Do you want to do that? Do you want to consider that as an option? And do you want my help in coaching you to do that before we test again in 4 to 6 weeks? All of those things will help you. You want to fix those levels that aren't optimal. And I didn't say normal, so there's a difference. And I mean that across all of those. Exercise. So some trainers will still be trying to convince you that traditionally getting 5 or 6 cardio exercise a week is the thing to do. Well, it's not, honey. Not if you're exhausted. And doing slow or moderate exercise is not the ticket. is doing moderate amounts of very high and of low intensity exercise. Low intensity like gardening all day, going for a 2 or 3 hour hike because you love it and you love the view, golfing with your friends and laughing. All of those things are good for you, but you have to kick traditional, conventional to the curb, and the blueprint is you. The messaging your body is giving you is you. So work with a health coach on a plan if you need one. I'm going to put all of the resources that I've mentioned below the show notes at flipping50.com/menopause metabolism. That's where show notes will be, and where you can find out more about the Flipping 50 membership, about the July Masterclass, and about all of the books that I mentioned, Dr. Ellen Christensen, Dr. Anna Kabeka's, and so many great things for you to dig into depending on what's bothering you most. Where do you need to start? So if I was to tell you one specific thing that would help you most, start strength training. And I know we eat more than we exercise, but strength training or some form of exercise is an easy catalyst to your next habit. That's the secret. Find your catalyst. Twice a week strength training for 30 to 40 minutes can have a major impact on your metabolism, but it will also make you aware of what you're eating, how much you're drinking, water, and getting better quality sleep will become easier. And when you start to do those things, your metabolism will wake up. There you have it, the answer to menopause metabolism and a lot of questions, awesome questions from our Flipping 50 online membership members who are behind the scenes doing all the work and helping each other out. What are you waiting for? Let's start Flipping 50 today.